Good morning, man. It has been a long time since I've done a video. Several people have been asking me, hey, when are you going to do another video? And I said, well, when I get back to work again, I'll look at doing another video. I've been working, but not cutting much since my last video, which was beginning of May. We've had some machine issues and some hydraulic issues, and if you've been following my Facebook, you would see what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go into detail, but it was a frustrating month chasing what we didn't know, and no one seemed to know how to help us, and with the help of the rottne guys, Paul Lang specifically, Dan Linsmeyer, from the hydraulic expertise area, and a couple other relatives that are hydraulic experts. We finally got to the bottom of it, back cutting, and so now I am doing another video. I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. I mean, I do, but it's a pretty, I don't know, it could be a pretty lengthy topic, and I'm not quite sure how I'd want to format to talk about it because there's a fair amount of details in it. But I will talk about machines today in different types of equipment, just a little bit here while I cut. And by the way, if you guys like when I'm talking and cutting, or would it be better if I just talk out of the machine, more of like a podcast style? That kind of feedback would be good for me to know, because I was debating just doing some talking topics, just not working, just kind of doing sitting down and talking and recording. A few people have said they prefer that I just keep cutting because they find it fascinating to watch me working while I talk, and I'm pretty sure that's because it's like a boring talk show host. At least here, you know, the boring talk show host. Can you see the truck heading out there? Heading out with a load of aspen. So back to talking while I'm working. So, like, if you have a boring talk show host, that's all you got. You gotta either listen to him. So, you either listen to him or you don't. But, you know, if I'm boring talking and working, at least maybe you have something you can watch while I'm doing this boring talk, if that's boring to you. Anyway, I'm sure that little segment was boring. So back to the machines. So I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, something like that, we talked to Komatsu because we were at the point of, like, man, we don't know if we're even going to bother putting this machine back in the woods or not. So we were talking about it, my cousin and I. That's who I'm working for right now, is my cousin. So we were talking about, man, do we just put the thing in the woods? Do we just like forget it and get another machine? What do we do? So he's a Komatsu fan. He's been running Komatsu machines for, I don't know, many years, and his dad before him as well, in a track machine. Not so much in a wheeled machine. They have done work in a wheeled machine, but so Komatsu met with us. We met with Komatsu, and they brought out a 951 Komatsu wheeled machine. It was too high a price for what we were looking at, but they wanted us to demo it anyway. Well, we got the machine out here and it wasn't quite ready. It was a used one and it wasn't quite woods ready. There was a few things on it that prevented us from being able to use it. But I got to toy around with it on the landing anyway. And it's a nice machine. It's very comfortable, it's quiet, smooth. and I think I could enjoy running it, but I hate those joysticks. They have those post style joysticks that has a little hand cradle in it. Those of you that are familiar with these machines know exactly what I'm talking about. Some people love them, some people hate them. I am in the hate category. I goofed around with it on the landing some and tried to make it make sense. And you know how they have these Facebook things or whatever, they'll have a picture or a statement and say, make it make sense. That is how I felt about the Komatsu controls. It made absolutely no sense to me at all, the way those joysticks are set up. Just the whole setup of the outlay. You have four-way toggles on it, then a bunch of buttons, and the joysticks just aren't comfortable to me at all. I would really struggle to enjoy working all day with those joysticks. I much prefer the what they call EME mini joys. I've been running those for, oh, I don't know. Oh, what's it been? 12 years now I've been running those, and I really, really like the EME mini joysticks. They're just a tiny little joystick, and they have 5 buttons on the front, and then you got your toggles on the joystick as well, and then you have your keypad. And I've got it programmed to where if I'm not running long lengths on like random pine or anything, I never have to take my hands off the joysticks. It's all right there in my fingertips. So I liked the machine okay, but I did not like those joysticks. Absolutely hated them. And one of the things about the Komatsu that I noticed that I really didn't like the idea if I ever had to work on it back in the engine section. It is very tight and access is pretty minimal. There's very, very little access, especially when you're going to be working around the main pump, and that part is in front of the engine. And there, if you got a loose hose or something up off the main pump and in that area, yeah, that's not just an easy fix, because you pretty much have to take the entire cover off. From what I could tell, you have to take the whole cover off from over top the main pump to get up inside there, and that's like an all-day project, it looks like. The rottne, you know, a couple of bolts, a little electric motor, flips the entire tank and everything out of the way, and you can access the top side of the belly pan from under that hood. And it's the access on the rottne in comparison to the Komatsu, there really isn't a comparison. Hands down, the rottne would be much easier to work on and to service and maintain. But the cab side of the Komatsu seemed very good. It seemed like it was made to where an operator or an owner could actually do some maintenance on it, not have to take it to a shop and pay what they want you to pay to have them fix it. So that's my take. Oh, and the head, it was a C164 head. Just on the landing, I'm like, yeah, I don't, oof, that just doesn't look like it would do what I would want it to do, how I would want it to do. And I know guys that have the C144s, and they make it do a lot, but just doesn't look like it would be my style or fit. I don't know, maybe my personality. I'm more of a type of go for a big beefy type of head. Now this SP, obviously, if you're watching this very closely, this SP here, the 761, is way overkill for what I'm cutting right now. But, you know, I'd rather have overkill than underkill. So my take, long and short of the 951. Smooth, comfortable, quiet, excellent visibility. Yeah, the head, not so much. Not so sure I'd be convinced on the head. I'd have to really run it to give me an opinion on the head. Maintenance on the machine as far as accessibility, etc. on the 951, to me, looks like you might get at best a 3 out of 10. So that's my take on the 951. Whether I'll ever actually run one or not remains to be seen. We did not, obviously, did not purchase that 951 since we couldn't even run it. It just went on the low boy and went back to where it came from. And so the next one I was going to talk about is the Ponsse. Now, only Ponsse I have experience with is the Ponsse Bear. And at first, I did not like the Ponsse Bear at all. I was like, no thanks, this is not cool. But that's what I ran when I was out west, and it took me a while to get onto it. The machine itself, I actually really liked the base machine. That I got used to, and once I got used to the C6 slide boom, I actually really liked that. Once I got onto that, I actually prefer that boom over this parallel boom. It was just so smooth, and with the Bear, you know, you're on the back half of the frame from your loader and from handling your trees, and it was very, very smooth. And the other nice thing, you could tip the loader half and you would stay flat on the cab half. So that was nice. You can get into side angles and tip the loader side if you needed to reach that extra 2 feet or whatever. You could just take your frame lock off or just hit the gas pedal and the frame lock would come off. You could tip it and reach that extra few feet. That if you needed to reach that extra few feet, you could do that. I'm sure it's not recommended at all by any of the manufacturers, but surely when they build those machines, they know that us operators are going to do stuff like that. So I think they build them a little stronger than they need to, just for people like me. As far as the controls of the Ponsse, I really liked those I forget what they call them actually, comfort grips? I don't know what to call them, but I know some people call them the Pam Anderson grips. I don't need to explain anything there, but they were very comfortable. Your hand just rests on them, everything is at your fingertips. One of the things I really like about that joystick setup is how many different lengths you can program manually at your fingertips. Working out west, you know, we were running multiple lengths a lot, so we would run, you know, sometimes, depending on the job, sometimes we would run, you know, 6 or 7 different lengths per job. Here it's not that big a deal. You're going to be running, you know, maybe on average 2 different lengths. You have your log length and you have your pulp length. Out west, yeah, we ran, depending on where you were working with the Forest Service, sometimes we would run 6-foot lengths all the way up to, well, 33s would be the longest, and at times they were doing everything in 2-foot increments. It pretty much put a stop to that by the time I quit working out there, because there really wasn't any reason to do all those increments when the price was the same, the demand was the same. So we ended up just doing, you know, 16s, 18s, and 25s, sometimes 23s. So it was really nice having all those button options right at your fingertips to program, to that many different links. So the Ponsse grips, the Sure Grip, Comfort Grip, no, it's not Sure Grip, Comfort Grip, I think it's what they call it. I actually would take those over the EME joysticks. So those I would actually say I would take over what I'm running currently. As far as the head, I got used to it. I am not a fan of the, I forget what they call it. Like this is called a single grip head. Anyway, the kind that hugs you like a teddy bear. I can't think what you call it, but you know, like the Ponsse head style, the C164, the actual rottne head style. You know, they close up and they hug you, or they hug the tree. They would hug you too if you got in there. They wouldn't have a problem with that. So I'm not a fan of that style. You get a lot more slippage and spin when you're in crooked wood. Straight wood doesn't matter. They work excellent. Like if I was in pine all the time, I would have no problem with it. With the Ponsse, we were running the H8 head. With the Ponsse H8 head, we really had issues in thick bark timber of having it grip enough when you get over 25-inch tree. They just wouldn't hold the tree. So we ended up swapping all the machines over to the new track bar style rollers, and man, that made a huge difference. Still wasn't anything like what, you know, these SPs or the Log Max grip, but it was a world of difference. And at that point then I really started not minding the head as much. But overall I would give, oh, and on the, you know, servicing end of it, it was actually really good to work on the Ponsse as far as servicing. I can't think of anything. The only thing I would say was a little stupid was the that had a Mercedes engine, and so the engine oil filter is kind of in a dumb spot. It's, I don't know, it's not that easy to get to. It's kind of stupid, but that's pretty minor. We had a lot of issues with the depth systems on those. Actually, I shouldn't say a lot of issues. What we had issues with, it was, and that's probably common for depth, was the winter time. And if you didn't treat it just right, it would freeze up and you'd get warning codes with depth systems, etc., etc. But I will say the one thing we were constantly cleaning was the EGR valves on that thing. Man, we were constantly cleaning or replacing the EGR valves. And some of that, of course, was due to operators idling too much. And we really tried to curb that, making sure operators don't idle much. But even after we were able to curb that, we still had a fair amount of issues with the EGRs sitting up. But overall, I'd have to actually give the Ponsse probably an 8 out of 10 for comfort, for reliability, for working on, etc., etc. It just took me a little bit to get used to it, but once I got used to it, I actually wouldn't mind running a Ponsse. Now, the machine I have not run that I would actually, the machine I would really like to run next is the Ecolog 590G new style. That one actually has me more intrigued than any machine on the market. Sorry, Rodney, but I think if I was to buy a new one, man, I just from what I'm seeing on video and on stats, papers, photos, I really think if I had to close my eyes and say, and I'm just gonna go with one without running, I really think I would go with the Ecolog 590. Just because I'm intrigued with the pendulum style, bogies, axles, whatever you want to call them. I'm really intrigued with that idea. The cabs, on picture, my cousin actually bought one, so I really want to go see it. On photos, videos, the cab looks incredible. Looks super comfortable. Visibility. The new color scheme they have is very nice, and the new design of the cab, in my opinion, it just looks very nice. Very classy. Excuse me, I got something down my throat. It looks very classy, and I really want to run one. So if there's any ecolog owners, dealers out there, you know, they want to just throw me an ecolog 590G just for the heck of it, I'll do a video for you. You know, little plug there, ecolog. Bring me a machine, and that would go with the 660 S, or the 661 SP, which would also be the next choice of head that I would have. I'm still pretty much a die-hard SP fan. I like my rottnes, but I'm not a die-hard rottne guy anymore. They run well, they're a great machine, but the boom being in front of me, I think I'm getting tired of that. I would like to have the boom on the side. I would love for rottne, and I told Rodney this back in like 2014, 2015 maybe. I said, man, if you would do a side boom cab, like ecolog, like Komatsu, you know, obviously Scorpion, they've got their own thing going on there. I'm not a huge fan of the Scorpion boom, but if Rodney would do a side boom option where you have clear visibility out the front, sides, and everything, you do a side boom, I would say Rodney would have the best machine on the market. The back half of their machine, in my opinion, the engine side of the machine, you're not going to find a better setup than that anywhere on the market. It's set up cleanly. The accessibility is incredible, easy to clean. But the front half, I'm getting a little tired of seeing through my boom all the time. And it's not bad if you're doing select cut all the time, but anymore I'm doing a lot of clear cuts and doing pine plantations, and kind of sucks having the boom in front. You get used to it, but there's nothing like clear view in the front. So without having run the ecolog, I cannot give it a number, but just looking at photos, watching lots of videos on them, looking at spec sheets, you know, they're an easy 5 out of 10 without even running one. So obviously I'm not going to give it any higher unless I actually get to run one sometime, and who knows, maybe I'll get to run one someday, maybe I won't. The prices of these things is just a whole nother ball of wax, which is stupid, the prices of them. I mean, if you're looking at $900,000 for a stupid machine, and the dumb thing is $900,000, you could put that into real estate and have something that increases in value where a machine decreases in value. And the other thing that is irritating about the price of these machines is we don't get paid anymore today to buy a $900,000 machine than we did back in 2009 when we bought our first brand new processor at $315,000. So yeah, $315,000 in 2009 we bought our first brand new harvester, and we were getting paid more per cord back then than we are today. So the math just isn't right. You know, they expect you to mass produce, and that's the problem. Is the mills know where the break point is, and so they give you just enough candy to make you think you're making a living, but then they tell you, oh, just produce a little extra and that'll make up the difference. So they'll drop the price $5 a cord. Well, the stupid loggers are like, oh, okay, well, that's not that big a deal. We'll just produce another 10 cord a day and that will offset that cost. Well, they keep doing that, and the dumb thing is the loggers play right into their hands, because now the mills are getting what they want for cheaper. They're getting more product at cheaper. The loggers are working more, thinking they're making more, but they're only making the same amount of money by producing more for the mills. So loggers are some of the smartest, stupid people you ever met. Plus, when you get into the stumpage wars, the stumpage wars are a whole nother ball game. Even if the mills gave you an extra $15 a cord, the loggers would fight over themselves trying to get the good timber, and then they'd end up paying the landowner that extra 15 and not make any more money anyway. So hopefully you follow that. But loggers just could be a lot smarter than what they are. They're just not that smart when it comes to not allowing themselves to being manipulated. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The industry is a lot of fun. It's very frustrating, but it is a nice way of life. It's relaxing. You get to be out in nature, and it's just with machines. It is a good way of life. So I covered a few small things that I wasn't even going to cover today, but I did, and I hope. I'm talking too long already. Getting my words all twisted up here. Hopefully you didn't find this too boring and you could follow along. I'd like to hear some of y'all's opinions on equipment, and your opinions whether you're a Ponsse guy, ecolog guy, Komatsu guy, rottne guy, Timber Pro, what are John Deere, all those. I'd be curious to know what you guys are running and what you guys are thinking. What's the machine of the future? Yeah, what is the machine of the future? What's the next big thing for logging industry for cool machines? Alright, I think I am going to sign out for the day. I gotta work on some other topics here, figure out if I'm gonna do them when I'm working or if I'm going to do them just in a sit-down podcast style. So I hope you have an excellent day, and I'll keep chomping the fiber. Catch you later.